Buongiorno, listener. Welcome to the latest edition of the Euro Football Verdicts. In today's episode, we're going to discuss what happened in Italy over the weekend and why you should always study your Italian. In Spain, we're going to discuss Ansu Fati, Real Madrid, and the new deadly duo at Atletico, in which one bites and the other kicks. Finally, in Portugal, we're going to discuss the transfer market and its repercussions on the main teams. This and much more in today's Euro Football Verdicts. Hello, listeners. Welcome to another edition of the Euro Football Verdicts podcast. This week, we do not have Marco with us, but we have the man, the myth, and the legend that is Ste. Ste, welcome.
Thank you, Alex. I'm honored by your definition. How are you?
Very well, and very eager to discuss what happened this week in the major European leagues, especially the southern ones. A lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, and let's kick it off with our first segment on the Serie A. So the Serie A had a very interesting week. A lot of big results, which is not usual in Serie A. Many goals scored in a rather defensive league. So, Steg, give me a breakdown of what happened this weekend in Serie A.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that defenses have not performed as good as they are used to, or maybe just attackers are too strong this year. Who knows? So to start with, Atalanta beat Torino 4-2. And if there were any doubts that Atalanta would be able to perform as they did last year, maybe they already wiped out such doubts. And then we had another very interesting match, which was Sampdoria-Benevento. Sampdoria was leading 2-0 in the first half. And then Benevento, the newcomer into Serie A, with a very impressive comeback, in my opinion, got the match eventually. And Pippo Inzaghi, their coach, must be very proud about it. Then we had Lazio, which easily won 2-0 against Cagliari, not one of Cagliari's best matches overall, I would say. And then we had one of the most interesting matches of the week, in my opinion, which is Inter-Fiorentina. It was one of those roller coasters match in which you never know who's winning until the match is over. And Fiorentina went off to a very good start by scoring very early, 1-0. Then Inter Milan was able to equalize that. Fiorentina got ahead again. And only in the last 10 minutes of the match, Inter Milan was able to score 3-3 and then to win the match with D'Ambrosio's final shot 4-3. So I would say that overall, that was not the best start for Inter Milan's season, because as we know, Conte, Inter's manager, values the defense a lot in a team. And so what do you think, Alex? Was this match convincing for Inter or not so much?
Well, that's the magic point there that you touched. Defensively, I think we witnessed a very weak Inter comparing to the standards that Conte normally has for his teams. Be very cohesive in the back. You saw actually how old is he, Ribéry? I mean, how he really was able to take them apart in some plays, even on counters, which is, for someone who's 35, 36 years old, 37 maybe even. It's quite remarkable that Inter got taken apart like that. I was surprised, but, currently with a guy like Lautaro up front, everything is possible. I mean, Lautaro, him and Lukaku, it's the perfect partnership, right? I mean, when you compare to how it would have been if there was a Icardi instead of a Lukaku, would we see this from Lautaro, in your opinion?
No, probably not. And indeed, they seem to be a perfect or almost perfect partnership. But would they be able to ever be a perfect trio with Eriksen behind is my question. Because even though we all know how Eriksen is strong as a player, he doesn't feel too at ease when playing for Inter Milan. And this time, Conte gave him the chance to start from minute one. But he really did not seem to be playing as he should in any of the moments, in my opinion. He did show some class at times, but it was just random sporadic moments and nothing too continuous. In my opinion, Eriksen should still deserve a chance, but something needs to change, and maybe this time he needs to change somehow, because this time Conte also let him play in the role that he prefers. Conte made Inter Milan play with the 3-4-1-2 scheme, and so it should be Eriksen's scheme. And so now I think it's up to the player to show that that he deserves this chance. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Eriksen is one of those players, you know, the caviar players, as I like to call them. They make the team fancy. They make them go the next step. The issue is those guys are hard to fit in teams that have to work for it, have to hunt the ball down, have to really grind out results. And was the same at Mourinho's Tottenham, and now with Inter's Conte. I mean, it's a bit hard, right, to see how Eriksen will develop under Conte. I'm actually quite worried for him, and I'm not sure that Conte has a place for him in his team.
Yeah, you know, I'm very worried about him too, and I'm even more concerned about myself, because Eriksen was one of my top picks in the fantasy football draft, and now I kind of feel that it may have been a mistake, but let's hope that it was not. Speaking about Inter's defense, I would say that Skriniar's absence may have played some role, because we know that last year something happened between Skriniar and Inter Milan. Maybe he did not was not in too good of a relationship with Conte, but he used to be, I mean, such a great defender that I would never have guessed that he wouldn't play as a starting player anymore for Inter. So maybe that's played a role in Inter's match. But on the positive side for Inter Milan, I would say that Hakimi had a very great start. What do you think?
Yeah, but I mean, we knew that Hakimi would be perfect for this way of Inter playing. If you see him the last 2 seasons at Dortmund, you've seen how he alone can take care of the right side of the field. He's an extraordinary wing back. He's what, 21, 22 years old. He's a player, you know, he's almost a decade player for Inter. 40 million euros was really cheap for him. Let's be honest here. The guy is just formidable. You know, he can do the whole right back, wing back, almost right winger. So it saves a lot of work from that side of the field. I'm more concerned from Inter side, what happens on the left side. And the point you touched on, Skriniar, is important. Also because, let's be honest here, Skriniar was wanting somehow move up to City, but this is proving quite difficult now that we're going to discuss it later in the program, but City seem to have the centre-back situation now solved. So it leaves him with less options to move around.
Yeah, and as you said, on the left, maybe Perisic is not too ready to play also a defensive role. We know he's a more attacking player, and I will see if maybe Young or Asamoah can take over at some point.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that there was a player who I thought about this for Inter, which went for 10 million to Sevilla, which was Acuna. He could do that wing back situation on the left for 10 million. It would have been an easy solution, at least for 2 years. He could have done that easily. And Inter could have worked the time to get a player like Hakimi on the left in 1 year's time.
Yeah, that would have been very interesting for sure. So moving to the next matches, then we had Sassuolo against Spezia, 4-1 for Sassuolo, after Spezia started with a not too bad performance, but eventually Caputo and Jovicic won it for Sassuolo. Then we had Verona against Udinese, which ended 1-0 for Verona, Verona confirming the good performances that they had last year. And then we had one of those tennis results, like Napoli against Genoa, 6-0. Wow, 6-0. So I would say that Mr. Gattuso is off to a great start. And he even managed to to bring back Lozano from the dead, because Lozano last year almost seemed dead at some point, but he scored a couple of goals and had a very good performance overall.
For you, who had the worst result from the Genovese teams? Is it Genoa losing 6-0 away to Napoli, or Samp losing 3-2 to Benevento at home?
That's a tough question, but I would still say Genoa, because even though Benevento is a newcomer in Serie A, still, I discussed that with Marco on the other episode. In my opinion, among the newcomers, Benevento is the one which should play better because of the players that they have. So I would say that Genoa's result was a disaster, really. Then we had Crotone against Milan, 1-0 by a Zlatan-less Milan. So sometimes they're able to win even without Ibrahimovic. And I mean, we saw like very good performances, especially by Kessie in the midfield, I would say. And Çalhanoğlu this time really seems to be at the best of his career ever, possibly. Moving on, we had another of the two matches in which I would like to discuss a little bit more, which is Roma against Juventus, which ended up 2-2 after another back and forth match. So Roma started very well by imposing their play style and scoring with Jordan Vertu, 1-0. Then Ronaldo was able to equalize like 1 minute before the first half, the end of the first half, with a penalty. Jordan Vertu once again scored in the second half. Then Rabiot actually got a red card because of double yellow card, and so Juventus turned up in 10-11. But notwithstanding this very huge problem, they were able to equalize again with Cristiano Ronaldo. I would say that unlike their first match against Parma, which was last week, Juventus did not seem so solid as we imagined it would. What do you say?
I think we should only look at the second goal of Roma, and we could see how weak defensively they were positioned. The counter-attack that culminated with the goal of Verretu, a corner for Juve, or a free kick actually. It was a free kick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And in the counter, there was one defender against 3 from Roma. And okay, Roma is slowly transitioning into a more counter team, but I mean, you cannot be 3 against 1. You knew when you see the 3 Roma attackers against the center back of Juve, you knew, well, this is going to be a goal, because there is no way you can survive alone as a center back against 3. You know, and it's Roma. You know, it's not any team, and that already shows you a bit. I don't know what you think about it, but I think it shows you already a bit the blueprint of Pirlo. You know, Pirlo is somehow doing a bit more what we expected from Sarri. You know, putting a team more focused on offensive performance and less on defensive. But a very un-Italian team, so to say, for my opinion.
Yeah, and very innovative for Juventus as well, because we know in all Allegri's years, Juventus' motto was, we just want to win, we don't care how. So now maybe that is going to change. We thought that would change with Sarri, but that didn't happen. And we'll see what Pirlo does to Juventus. And I think that this match, which was not the best, but not the worst either, does not diminish the value of Pirlo, who seems to be very promising as a coach. But on the other side, I think that sometimes, you know, the print and the journals may be overhyping, you know, these new figures into soccer. After Juventus win against Parma last week, 3-0, everybody was like, okay, wow, we already have Pirlo's Juventus, everything is already settled and ready to be dominant, but maybe he just needs a little bit more time. So yeah, we'll see what Pirlo's Juventus does in the next matches. And that's it for Serie A's matches, because we still have Bologna-Parma, which is to be played this evening, and so we won't be able to comment on it yet. Before moving to the next session of our podcast, I would like to discuss a very specific and peculiar case which happened in in our Italian championship in the last few weeks. And Alex, I think you already know what I'm talking about.
Are you talking about some Italian exam? That looks like a very, very weird topic to discuss on a football podcast. How is that linked even?
I don't know. Maybe we just want to become the new Italian exams podcast. It would be probably the first in the world. or maybe we are talking about Suarez Italian exam, because we know that for a long time Suarez was probably going to go to Juventus. We know that the two parties had made a lot of contacts, and it seemed to be almost confirmed. But to play for Juventus, Suarez needed to get Italian citizenship, or rather European Union citizenship. And to do that, he had to pass this Italian language exam, which was to be held in Italy. And he passed the exam. I think it was about 10 days ago or something like that. But no later than like 3 or 4 days, there have starting to be some disturbing rumors about the modalities of this exam and how serious this exam actually was. And now it seems to be that the authorities are actually investigating upon some alleged corruption cases which happened, because it would seem like the professors who held Suarez exam may have been a little too easy on him. And by a little too easy, I mean that an exam which normally lasts for 3 hours lasted 20 minutes. And the most difficult questions may have been, how do you say watermelon in Italian, or something like that? And if that's confirmed, then what can I say? Does not shed the best light on our immigration system, but what do you say, Alex?
Yeah, well, for someone who has a lot of problems with immigration that we've seen politically, it really shows a different face of Italy, you know, a very easy on immigration and on acquiring nationality. I mean, it's a huge screw up. I can imagine how well it has been taken in Italy. Well, let's say that if Suarez had applied himself a bit more, learned a bit more the Italian language, maybe it would have avoided other problems before, you know, like the Chiellini situation.
Yeah, probably.
So I think it's a lesson for everyone, especially for the younger people. Let's all learn our languages early in our lives, so we avoid further problems. And a couple of highlights still to with Italy, and that I wanted to discuss with you regarding what happened in the transfer market in the last week. We had very interesting deals happening. Well, one, given Suarez not being able to join Juventus, instead of going for Dzeko, they had to go to look for an alternative, and they found one in Madrid. So tell us more about that one.
Yeah, indeed. After so many years, eventually Morata got back to Juventus to find Pirlo, who used to be one of his teammates and now his coach. It's a very interesting deal, in my opinion. It still needs to be verified how well can Morata perform nowadays, because he had a very good season, a couple of seasons with Juventus. Once he and Pirlo got to the Champions League finals against Barcelona. And but after leaving Juventus, I have the feeling that Morata was not able to perform as good as before. And now it's been many years, so I am kind of puzzled, but also curious to see how well actually Morata can deliver nowadays.
And from one return to Italy to another one, Arturo Vidal at Inter. Are you scared about your rivals from the Giuseppe Meazza?
Yeah, I'm a little scared, not gonna lie, but also I am pleased because Vidal swore loyalty to Juventus in the past, and now he went to Inter Milan. And from an AC Milan fan, such as I am, it's very satisfying from my perspective to see this. But Vidal is one of Conte's all-time favorites, and of course he's gonna play very well for them. Let's see how he can still cohabit with Sensi and Eriksen, though, because they seem to be Maybe Eriksen plays a little more forward than Vidal, but he should be playing in the same role and same area as Stefano Sensi, and so we'll see how well they can do together.
And the final transfer to highlight, which is why Morata joined Juventus in the first place, Pipita Higuaín at Inter with Miami. So what do you have to say about Pipita? Is he going to be missed in Italy or not?
I'm probably gonna miss him. I think I already made this point in one of our podcasts, but I think that Higuaín still had some role to play in Serie A. And while I understand that his wage was probably too high for an average Serie A team to afford it, I think that he would have been still very, very good for a mid-tier Serie A team, such as, I don't know, Fiorentina, or maybe Torino, or maybe Bologna. So I'm probably going to miss him, yeah.
Very well, very well. So thank you. That is all from Italy. Now let's take the EasyJet and go to Spain in our next segment. Hola everyone, welcome to the review of La Liga and what has happened this weekend. Well, a very interesting weekend in some matches that we had. We had a very lazy Saturday start, actually, with Alaves and Getafe 0-0. We had a very unsurprising result if you listen to our podcast, which is Valencia at home drawing 1-1 to Huesca, who just came from the second division. So that was, it's Huesca. It's Valencia in a mountain of troubles ahead. So then Real Sociedad winning 3-0 away at Elche. Still no goal of David Silva, which will make Marco definitely very happy. And finally, in the evening, the more interesting match. We had Real Betis 2, Real Madrid 3. It was a ping pong of a match. You had Federico Valverde scoring the 1-0 for the Merengues, and Mandi and William Carvalho giving turnaround of 2-1 at halftime. Then second half starts the battle for Emerson with the own goal, doing the 2-2. And around 20 minutes later, he gets the red card after stopping a one-on-one situation from Benzema. So he got a red card for sure. And finally, minute 82, as expected, a penalty. And who takes it? Well, Sergio Ramos doing the Panenka, goalkeeper to one side, ball to the other, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And that was what happened on Saturday. What do we think about Real Madrid? Real Madrid now has played already 2 times, but it's not yet the Real Madrid that we used to, right?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, they won both times, so that's good for them, of course. But still, they did not seem very solid, and especially in the last result, the one against Betis that you mentioned, it does feel like it was more circumstantial than actually deserved as a win. Like it depended a lot on the red card and then on the penalty. Of course, I can't imagine how many points Sergio Ramos got to Real by himself by scoring, those late match goals. But still, I don't know, not the best start ever for Real Madrid.
No, it's definitely subpar for Real Madrid. And I'm actually thinking it's going to be interesting, given what we watch on Sunday, how Real Madrid could go with this, because we saw their city rivals, Atletico Madrid, winning 6-1 against Granada. An impressive performance by our transfer of the week for sure, Luis Suarez. He just played 15 minutes, scored 2 goals, gave 1 assist, the usual.
And speaks Italian at the end of the match to celebrate.
Yeah, definitely. He gave some Italian. So it was an amazing performance by Atletico, 6-1 against Granada, as mentioned. Diego Costa opening the scoring, Angel Correa scoring at the 47th minute, and then João Felix also scoring. An amazing performance by the Portuguese wizard. Llorente did the 4-0 at minute 72, and then the Suarez show begin with 85th minute and a 90th minute. In between, Jorge Molina still scored for Granada. Very interesting match. I think it showed that Atletico can be a force in this La Liga campaign. So basically asked after the match what he thought about the Suarez acquisition. Diego Costa just uttered the words, "It was very good. I kick and he bites." For the perfect partnership.
That's a very good choice of words, I would say.
So are you excited by thinking about this possible trio up front of João Felix, the small little kid, the 19-year-old who's happy to be there, helping out Suarez and Diego Costa? Is it the good meets the evil?
I think so. It does sound like one of those unlikely trio, which for some reason could work very well together. and maybe, who knows, maybe Simeone is just gonna get it this year, because it's like, if I didn't know about Barcelona and Real, I would say that if somebody has João Felix, Suarez, and Costa in the forward, then they're gonna win the league for sure. They won't do that for sure, because there are other very strong teams, but this sounds very promising.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how this develops at Atletico. Otherwise, we had some minor results. You had Sevilla, one of our favorites from our preview, to finish in the top 4, maybe even 3rd, winning 3-1 away at Cádiz. So that one was expected, with De Jong and Munir and Rakitic. Munir and Rakitic both scoring after minute 90. Rakitic scoring his first goal after his return to Sevilla. So that one is really pleasing. Levante went away to Osasuna to win 3-1, as did Atletico Bilbao to Eibar, winning 2-1 with 2 goals from Unai Lopez. And finally, we also had Valladolid 1, Celta Vigo 1. But the big match was left for the evening. One of the favorites to finish one of the highest places in La Liga, Villarreal, we predicted to finish 5th, went to Barcelona to have his ass kicked, basically. 4-0. We had 2 goals by Ansu Fati, a penalty of Messi, and an own goal by Pau Torres. So Ansu Fati is the new god on earth. What are the viewerships of this?
Well, he's off to a good start, that's for sure. I must admit that I knew little to nothing about him before he reached Barcelona. So, but I'm curious now. I'm really curious to see whether he's going to deliver as good for the rest of the season. And do you think he could work together well with Messi and the others? Is he a good fit for Barcelona?
Yeah, personally, I think the kid is a genius. He's just extraordinary. If we think about it, the way they're set up to play. I mean, Barcelona just looks amazing. If we look into their squad, the up front, if you put one side Ansu Fati, on the other side Messi, and you put Griezmann in the middle, it's just extraordinary, right? I mean, I'm really, really interested in seeing how Ansu Fati will develop, but this is the kind of player who will take the mantle of Messi from here on out, and then be able to really bring it to the next level. I think the team will benefit a lot from Ansu Fati. He's one of those where you say he's a shortlisted future Ballon d'Or winner. He's different. The way he touches the ball, the way he makes his runs. He even wins the penalty that Messi scored. So it's just a different level. And I'm curious to see how he will develop, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm also curious to see how Messi is going to play this year, honestly, because we already talked about his intrigue with Barcelona. But now we know that they didn't really make peace, because after Suarez left Barcelona, Messi, with a very harsh tweet, said that Barcelona should have said goodbye to Suarez, as you say goodbye to a champion. And Messi added that right now I'm not, I don't feel surprised anymore. So that's not the kind of tweet that you would say if you made peace with your team. So we'll see how that situation develops.
Yeah, definitely. And continuing the saga at Barcelona, besides the departure of Arturo Vidal and Luis Suarez, we also had the departure of a fan favorite, Nelson Semedo, who went to join up with the rest of the Portuguese gang at Wolverhampton Wanderers in UK. I always mix the name with the Portugal national team. I don't know why. It keeps happening. So basically he joined up at Wolves, the reported fee of 30 million euros. So not too bad actually, for Nelson Semedo. And then I have two other questions to highlight here. Reguilón from Real Madrid to Spurs, and obviously fan favorite at Real Madrid, even more than Semedo is at Barcelona. Gareth Bale to join Tottenham Hotspurs. How do you think Real Madrid fans feel after saying goodbye to fan favorites?
Yeah, I feel that probably they did lose a lot of hope, if not all hope, in the last few years, because after a huge start, Bale's career went a little bit downslope. And so I feel that fans may not have been too surprised by Real's decision to sell Bale. But on the other hand, this is probably going to feel like one of those permanent disappointments. Like it should have been and could have been much more than what we got. What do you say?
Well, I think it's going to be a bit hard, for Gareth Bale to get used to going back to London. Notoriously known for its bad weather. I cannot imagine how playing golf should be in a rainy city. It's probably not that interesting. So I'm thinking he's going to miss the golf fields in Madrid. But no, all fairness, I think it's best for both parties. I think it was just way too long, and this is what we're due by 1 or 2 seasons. It's the same struggle every year. This is someone who's commanding a really high wage, who has a lot of talent, but look, he just doesn't fit there. And when he goes to play for Wales, it's a different Gareth Bale. So he needs to feel that he's a part of the setup, a part of the gang, and that's what he will have at Tottenham. He will be again a huge player, a Galáctico in a smaller house, which he can be compared to Harry Kane. But even Harry Kane looks up to a player like Gareth Bale due to his experience and his 4 or 5 Champions Leagues in the bag. So he's definitely going to make a stand, and I think everyone's a winner in this one.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I agree especially that it probably was overdue for some time now. So I think this is the best for both parties.
And in order to save some money, let's not take a plane now. Let's just drive across the border to Portugal and discuss in the next segment what happened at Liga NOS. So welcome back, listener. Welcome to the Liga NOS review. Well, a very uneventful weekend so far. The biggest surprise, to be honest, what happened already on Friday at home. We had Braga losing 1-0 to Santa Clara from the Azores, which was a bit surprising, especially given what we previewed. And my colleague at the time, Miguel, previewed that Santa Clara would struggle and would go down, now winning against the one he predicted to finish third. So not too bad start for Santa Clara. On Saturday, we had Marítimo winning 2-1 against Tondela. And the big games of the day, we had Benfica winning 2-0 at Moreirense. So this is a big match, not because of the incidents of what happened, but at least one incident is important. At minute 20, goal of their captain, Ruben Dias, 23-year-old centre-back of Benfica. He was named captain for this match as a way to say goodbye. So Ruben Dias secured the move to Manchester City. He's going to play alongside Aymeric Laporte. A very fearful partnership. I think it's going to be a very interesting one. 53 million and Otamendi in return. So I think that's a win for City to get rid of him with such a huge wage of 8 million a year. It's a lot on the books. So in terms of wage, Ruben Diaz is probably not going to earn much more than that. Yes, it's an investment, but let's be honest, City invests 50 million every year on centre backs, or maybe even 100. So I don't think they'll fill it. Do you think that he's going to be able to fill in the shoes left by Otamendi at City?
I think he has very good chances of doing that. Of course, Otamendi is one of those players that after many years is always hard to replace because he's so well fit within the team. But Ruben Diaz is very interesting, and I think it was a very good purchase from Manchester City.
And besides the transfer news, I think the highlight of the day goes to Porto's win at Boavista. Boavista, which is now held by Gerard Lopez, the owner of Lille. So they have a really interesting team right now with some former World Cup winner Adil Rami as a center back. There's also Javi Garcia, former Real Madrid and Benfica player, defensive mid, and Angel Gomez as a number 10. The kid is really out of this world. You saw it in the first match day playing away at Nacional with 3 assists. Porto won 5-0. Corona scoring, Marega scoring twice. Again, Oliveira and Luis Diaz. I think it's another one of those where Sergio Conceição is really turning a page. The guy is really getting stabbed by the financial fair play situation. So they're selling players at a rapid pace. So this weekend they lost Tiquinho Suarez to Tianjin Teda. Sorry for those Chinese listeners. For 5.5 million euros. They had to get rid of Abubakar for free because, well, they don't have liquidity to pay players anymore. Vitinha followed. Shidozi went to Boavista also on loan. There were so many players leaving Porto. They're really struggling financially. So it's a case to see how do you think Porto will fare in the European competitions if they're losing so many players this year?
Well, it can't be too good, at least apparently. And I say apparently because Porto has always been some kind of surprise in the European Champions League. And so you can never know for sure. But losing that amount of players, I think it will have to struggle to move to the elimination phase of the competition. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. They lost a lot of players who, maybe not for a lot of money, but like Vitinha went on loan, Shidozi went on loan, but these are options to buy of around 25 millions combined. The Abubakar going for free just to free up wages. Tiquinho Suarez and Fabio Silva together did 45 million. They brought in 11 million in purchases, and there is nothing. Porto is really tight with their money, so I'm curious to see if they will end up. But Porto is one of those teams that the group stage for them, they always end up going past it. You have teams like Benfica who have way better players, and they never manage to go past the group stage. But Porto is one of those teams that they'll always reach the last 16, no matter what, how hard the group is.
I know, right? They always do some surprising in the Champions League, like every year. I don't know why too.
No, I trust their team to play the 11 on the field. My issue is once they have to go to the bench, it's a hard one. Plus, they're still going to lose for me one of the best left backs in the world, which is Alex Telles. Like, he's going to leave for sure for Manchester United. It's a debate of 20 billion, 25 million, but he's going to leave. And it's such a cheap player. What's probably here still struggling the deal is his agent, Kia Jorabshan. He's a notorious hard dealer. And I can imagine that with a year left on his contract, his agent is probably still trying to grab a couple more million for him and his client. So that's what's taking the hold up. And then on Saturday, we had standard results in terms of Farense losing at home to Nacional and Gil Vicente 1-0 against Portimonense. And finally, Milan's favorite team, Rio Ave, playing 0-0 at Guimarães. How worried are you about Milan on next Thursday?
Well, on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm worried about 9.5, I would say. And even this draw, this 0-0 against Guimarães, it feels like they are just saving energy for Milan. So, but, jokes aside, it's always worrisome when you don't have Zlatan forward, and we won't have him, unfortunately. Because as we know, Zlatan tested positive to COVID-19, or maybe should we say that COVID-19 tested positive to Zlatan, rather. But unfortunately, it would be a Zlatan-less Milan to play against Rio Ave. And we'll see if the Portuguese team can take advantage of this.
I'm very curious to see how they play against Milan. And to be honest, it's a one-off game. So there's very little where you can really push around in a game and make mistakes. I think it's going to be a tough one. And then the final game of the week was Paços de Ferreira against Sporting. Sporting, thank God, coming out with a 2-0 win. Goals by Jovan Cabral and Sebastián Coates, another of Marco's favorite players. It was a comfortable win. I wasn't really worried about Sporting, and I think it's really casts in less doubts of the team. What was more interesting for Sporting was not what happened on the field, but off it. We had our assembly of the shareholders and the club members, basically, and the budget for this season alongside the accounts for last season for the club, so not the football professional team, but the club were refused by the supporters and the members of the club. So that casts a doubt on the future and the sustainability of Sporting in the coming months, if they are able to start paying the staff outside of the football. So the club is in turmoil following what happened in the last couple of years, ever since we had the invasion to the academy, which is another sad episode of the Sporting life.
Yeah, these are tough times for everyone, unfortunately. And I would very much like to have more for teams to have more flexibility in this moment, because I don't think that financial fair play makes a lot of sense, at least not in the way it is currently applied in the emergency situation that we are living in. So we'll see how that develops, I guess.
Yeah, you see how Porto is, trying to scramble to get until the close of market. They are aiming to raise another 60 million euros. So Alex Telles should provide almost half of it, but they still need more money to close the gap on financial fair play, which, to be honest, is crazy to think that teams should comply with this year. It should be in a year zero, let's be honest.
Yeah, I had a couple of doubts even before, but after COVID-19, it just doesn't make any sense anymore, I would say.
Yeah, it makes teams go after the quick money because they need to fulfill it, and leads them to even worse results. So if you're not desperate to sell, maybe you'd get Alex Telles for 35 million or 30 million, but now you need to sell because you need liquidity. Maybe you'll sell for 20 or 25 and lose 10 million on this, which is, it's a discussion for another pod. And unfortunately, we're running out of time. So I want to thank you, Steph, for being with us this week.
Thank you very much, Alex.
That was it from our side. Guys, please remember to follow us on Instagram and pay attention to everything we're releasing on our weekly pod under Euro Football Verdicts. Please write us your email and questions on eurofootballverdicts@gmail.com, and see you guys next time.